Hey everyone, welcome to another interview for the Breaking the Ceiling Summit. I'm your host, Chris Carty, and I am thrilled to bring you another amazing speaker. Today, I'm speaking with Brittney Castro, and Brittney is a renowned financial planner and insurance broker. She is very popular in the financial education field. She has a passion for educating women about finances. Brittney has worked with several huge media brands spreading financial education. And today she's happy to be here to share her knowledge and experience with you. So Brittney, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, that was a great intro. Thank you. Yes, I'm a certified financial planner. I've been in the industry 15 years. Now I focus mainly on the life insurance side of things, although for 15 years I did work with clients through financial planning. So helping them set up their financial plan so that they could save their money, invest their money, get the right protection in place, just really manage their money for the goals that they have in their life and feel empowered with the decisions they're making around their finances. Um, and yeah, like you said, I've worked with a lot of major brands and companies on financial literacy and just helping people of all over, all demographics, understand money management, financial planning, basics and principles. So ultimately, they just feel more empowered with their money.
Okay, that is wonderful. So you started your career as a financial planner at a pretty early age, 22.
Yeah.
So what got you interested in financial planning at such an early age?
To be honest, I didn't even know what financial planning was. I just took a job after college as a financial advisor, and I graduated with a degree in business economics.
Okay.
And I just remember talking to my career counselor and saying that, look, I have this job offer. It's a financial advisor. And she's like, give it a shot. I think you'll like it. And I did. I really enjoyed being able to help people. Obviously, there's a lot of independence or kind of the ability to make as much money as you want based on how much hustle you have
Mhm.
and, kind of run your schedule accordingly.
Okay, so it gave you independence. Even if you had a job, you still had the independence. You still controlled how much money you made.
Yeah, so I had a job at a company and I was basically commissioned. So my
Okay.
salary more or less for the year was based on how many clients I was serving, how many clients I was attracting into my practice. So I think early on I learned the ability to hustle, and if you want more money, you just go get it.
Okay, that's pretty good. Okay, so you transitioned from being an employee to owning your own business. What was that like, and why the decision to become an entrepreneur?
In finance, there's a lot of rules and restrictions when you work for a company. So even though it was commission based, there's like different restrictions of branding and marketing. And early, I discovered I really liked marketing. I really liked being able to brand myself a certain way to help. At that time, really women was my focus, right? Women professionals who needed help with the money and maybe never felt comfortable talking to financial professionals about the money just because of historic,
Mhm.
societal traditional ways of, they would talk to the man, but not the woman, and make the woman
Mhm.
feel afraid or ashamed to ask questions. So I saw there was an opportunity and kind of again a little naive. I jumped and I said, I'm going to just leave this company and start my own business.
Mhm.
So I have more freedom and flexibility to run my business how I see fit. So um, I don't know. I don't know if I do it again, to be honest, that version, just because again, it was a lot. There's a lot of extra responsibility, just compliance, legal, of having your own financial firm, but it really was a valuable experience for me. And I definitely learned a lot.
So you kind of learn the resilience part of it. Like when you become an
Sure.
entrepreneur, you're no longer the employee, you're the boss, right? And so there's everything is now on your shoulders, the decisions are not yours, and now you have to learn resilience so that you can kind of go through all those different challenges that keep coming, because when you're just starting out, it's one challenge after another. But you kept with it. So what prompted you to keep going?
I think I would just never had a plan B. I mean, at that time, it was just, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to have my business and I want the freedom. I never had a backup plan. And so that helped with the challenging times because, like you said, it's one thing after another. And also, I think it was because I really felt so strongly about the version of the business I was creating, which was fee only. So it wasn't based on how much assets you have or you have to make a certain amount of money to work with me. It was literally if you could pay my fees, the flat fees for the year, I can help you. So I really believe that model was needed in the financial world because a lot of people were kind of like priced out of help if they didn't have a certain net worth or asset level. A lot of financial professionals won't even talk to you. So I just really, was very passionate about helping everyone else who was, younger or accumulators or achievers, but they just didn't have like the level of assets yet, but they were still out there hustling, trying to like make good decisions for themselves. So that was a big part of it too.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is you knew your why and you were passionate about your why, and that kind of fueled you to keep going.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so knowing your why is really important. Okay, so one of the issues that most women face when they're creating a business, and especially a business where your goal is to create lasting wealth, is that you have to balance your personal and your business life, right? Was that something that you had to deal with, and how did you handle that?
Yeah, it is very challenging. I mean, now I have a job and it's a different scenario. But I do think even though I never worked more than 40 hours a week, I was very disciplined with my time, meaning I worked smart, but I didn't overwork hours just to log time. I just don't believe in that. Um, I do see that there was a lot of, like you said, on my shoulders. So energetically, I think when you have a business, even if you're not working, you're kind of always on or thinking about or have that responsibility on your shoulders. And I think for women, if you have a family, like I didn't have a spouse to help me. So it was also, I mean, it's very challenging. I'm not going to lie, but I think you also see how resilient you can be and how capable. Like I learned a lot about myself, how strong I am, how capable I am, that now looking back, I'm like, oh, everything's easy now. Like now it's like, oh, that's a piece of cake, like because I've been through so much, so it doesn't, nothing like really knocks me down as much. But in the beginning, you're like, whoa, these knocks are pretty intense. And then you kind of learn to be more and more neutral about it. It's part of the game. And I do think, though, as a woman, you really need to surround yourself with either other entrepreneurs or business owners who are women, because I also think we do it differently. Like, I was a big believer in self-care. So even though I have a business, I'm like, no, I got to take time to be with my family, my friends, do things that fill me up so that I could come here, be on my A game. And then when I leave, like, take care of myself, meaning don't overwork, overstress about things. But the support group is really big. I'm a big meditator. That spiritual practice is huge for me. So, I mean, leveraging faith or spirituality, whatever you need to remember to stay grounded and centered, because I think there's so much to manage all the time and you really have to make sure you're taking care of yourself. Because I do see a lot of women either being too masculine in business or burning out, or they're not in, they're not, how do I say this? Like, I believe in like feminine strength and power. So like
Mhm.
tapping into the feminine part of you, you can actually be very good, make money. It might be different than a male who makes money, but that is our strength.
I'm so glad you said that because most people don't look at it from that point of view. I think most people get bogged down, and it's like,
Yeah.
I have to do this in my business. And especially if you have a family, then, and I have these other responsibilities to my
Right.
family. And then they forget that I'm a person. So
Right.
I need to be filled up, and they forget that. And while they're busy chasing the business, the family is suffering. And then you said something about the masculinity part of it too. And that happens a lot. It's where we as women, we kind of try to emulate the way a man would go about it, not understanding that the reason why we are successful as women is because we are women. So
Right.
that's a really great point that you brought up.
Yeah, and that was a huge one for me because it was a lot about trusting myself and my intuition because, finance is typically still very male dominated. So I was doing a lot of things that were like completely different than my colleagues or other business owners in the space. But I was like, you know what? It's okay. I trust this way of working and I'm going to honor myself. And to me also, I just think having the perspective, even if you're a business owner, it's only one piece of your life, and really, don't fall into that trap of making it your entire life and then, it's just business. Yeah.
I love that. So you've been involved in numerous financial literacy campaigns. So why do you think that financial education is critical, especially for women and minorities?
Yeah, for women and minorities, I mean, if you look around the world, most women are involved in the financial decisions for the households. I mean, this is just like known. They're managing the budgets for the household, making the spending decisions for the kids, buying the groceries, all of those things. And yet, it really, when I first started, it was so apparent that there wasn't resources to just talk to women in
Mhm.
our version of like just talk to women in a way that was empowering. A lot of it was just very, this is what you got to do, black and white, no grays. And then, even if, I mean, I still hear this, unfortunately, but a lot of women getting talked down to
Mhm.
are not like addressing the woman, it would be only the man. So I think it's just really important. Financial education is something really no one gets. Like literally, I've worked with thousands of people in my career, talked to thousands of people, whether they have a lot of money or a little money. No one comes out of the womb, out of your mother's belly with like financial education. So it's learned. It's either learned in school, learned in society, learned through the household. Most households don't teach this. So I think at one point you just have to decide for yourself, I want to learn, I want to be better, and it's then a commitment for the rest of your life. Like any relationship, this is what I say, with your spouse, with your family, with your kids, you have to constantly work on it. It's not magically just going to be amazing. It doesn't work that way, and there's going to be challenges. This is part of life. So the sooner you just say, look, I want to learn the language of money, I want to really understand it and keep relearning or learning again, that's just what it is. I mean, the people who are successful with their money, and I don't mean like just because they have a lot of money, but they have a good relationship, they're generous, they come from a wealth perspective or mindset with their money. It's because they've worked on it, they've worked on making that so for themselves. So it takes time, it takes energy, it takes money sometimes, but you really, financial education, once you dive in, it really feels good because you feel like, okay, now I feel more confident making this decision, that I'm aware of the numbers, or I can do it, or let me find someone who could help me figure this out so I'm not alone. And I know that it's just really important, no matter who you are, what age, what, economic background you're in, it's just, we all need it.
It's empowering to learn about it and to learn to
Yeah.
manage money. And that's one thing I know for sure. You mentioned that word mindset. And
Mhm.
so with the thousands of people that you've worked with, how has mindset played a role in those who are successful when it comes to finances and those who are not?
I think a lot of it is like the beginner's mindset, meaning like those people who I look up to with money or wealth, they're not afraid to make mistakes. They're not afraid to ask for help. They come at it with what do I need to know? Here's a new problem. How do I discover the solution? So it's a very open mindset of, hey, I'm learning something. Or, I was doing it like that for so long, but now technology's changed the game. So let me relearn how to do it now. It's never like, oh, avoiding or condemning if they've made mistakes. So I think a lot of the mindset with money is like constantly learning and open to growth, open to new ways of doing things, and really not afraid to ask for help. I mean, the people with a lot of money have a lot of people managing their money. So they have help. Like, this is just part of how it goes. And I think that mindset, also just becoming very aware of our behaviors and patterns. So, that's a big part of it, is like discovering, why are you still living in scarcity mindset? Why are you still tight with your money? Why aren't you making the money you really want? Like, what is holding you back? And that is self-discovery work. So like, what's the thought? Maybe you learned as a kid something along the way that's like now in your adult brain holding you back from moving forward. I mean, this is just like relationships, right? Like, why do we pick that kind of person to date? Well, we got to learn something. Or why are we fighting with our spouse? Well, there must be something mindset wise, behavior I'm doing that's causing that. So a lot of it is owning the responsibility, which I think is, I mean, I'm a big on self growth and improvement, but like, I'm the cause. So what am I doing that's creating this outer world? And yeah, I know we all come with certain things that maybe we didn't sign up for, like technically, but this is life, and we gotta like deal and be with it and embrace it and enjoy it. So I think that keeps you also light, also with a mindset. I like people who are more playful, less serious. I think a lot of people can get very serious with money, and it doesn't have to be. I know there's a reality. You have wealth, you have accounts, you have money, but you don't also need to take it so seriously. And this is just me, but money doesn't go with you in the grave. So do your best.
Oh, I just love that. I just love that.
But it doesn't matter if you have $1 billion when you die, or zero. Like, we're all dying.
Exactly, because you're going the same way that you came. You came empty-handed and you're going empty-handed. What I do love that you mentioned too is that we have things in our past that may be impacting the way we think about money.
Right.
And all the time, we're not even aware that this is impacting the way we think about money. And so we're carrying all this money baggage. I call them money wounds that we carry with us, right? That we're not even aware of. But it gets to a point in your life where, okay, I'm doing these things and nothing is changing. So now you have to start figuring out, what can I do differently? And a lot of the time, we don't want to look at ourselves and accept that it is something that I'm doing. But in the case of money, I think what you're saying is, we have to get to a point where we're like, okay, it's time to put on the big girl's pants and accept responsibility. Yes, we had all of these things that happened in our past, but now moving forward, we have to accept it, put our big girl's pants on, and deal with it so that we can do something different and transform our relationship with money.
Absolutely, 100%. And I've been there many times, not in just money, but other sides of my life. It's not easy. It's not comfortable. I mean, there's definitely those moments that I've had in my life where I'm like, okay, I'm on the bathroom floor crying, but now I got to do this. And I'm clearly capable because it's happening in my life. So if I wasn't capable, it wouldn't be happening. So I got to, like you said, put on my big girl pants and deal with this and address it and change my ways or change what I'm doing, because it's not working, right? Whatever it is not working. So clearly I need to do something different. But I know that feeling, and it's not uncomfortable, but I always like to tell people, look, you're not alone. Or you're not alone. It's just maybe you don't hear the backstory of everybody's finances, but let me tell you, nobody's perfect. Like, I've seen the inside of everybody's finances, little or a lot. And it's, it all has its stuff.
So I tell myself that growth doesn't happen in comfort. So if you're in some place and you feel comfortable, it just means that you're not growing. If you're doing something and it makes you feel uncomfortable, it means that you're growing, and that's what you should keep doing. right? So the more uncomfortable it is the more growth that you're going to experience. So just work through it. Again, the big girl's pants, right? Okay, so one of the things I really wanted to talk to you about was life insurance, because you talk a lot about life insurance as a tool to creating lasting wealth. So tell us a little bit about that, like your view on life insurance, because I know there's a lot of I guess negativity when it comes to life insurance. And most of the time I think it's because people just don't understand how you can leverage life insurance. So tell us about your work with life insurance and using life insurance as a tool to build wealth.
Absolutely. So really, I like to explain it. You need life insurance if you love somebody or owe somebody money. Because when we die, our debts don't die. Usually, if we have dependents, meaning kids, anyone who relies on us for income, they still have a need for that income. So there is a reality, and I think only 40% of Americans or 40% of Americans don't have life insurance. So when you die, you want to make sure that life insurance death benefit, let's say it's $1 million, is being left to your beneficiaries, whoever you name, tax-free. Literally, it's one of the only things that leaves tax-free, life insurance. It doesn't pass through the IRS. Okay, so tax-free to your beneficiaries, and it's pretty immediate. So unlike real estate, for example, where your family would have to sell a property and that takes time, you file a claim with life insurance, that death benefit could come rather quickly, a few weeks, to help pay for funeral expenses and continue on with living expenses, pay off a mortgage, pay off any debts that you owe. So it's real. Most people don't have enough money to leave behind their family in the event that they die. Yeah, that your family would inherit any assets you have, but they probably need more. Now, with life insurance, you can also think about it as legacy. Maybe I have enough assets, right? Maybe I don't even need to leave more, but now I want to create wealth. I want to create a legacy so the next generation, my kids, my grandkids, have wealth. This is what a lot of wealthy families do. This is how they do it. They pass wealth to the next generation with tax strategies, with estate planning, with life insurance. So if I just want to leave an extra $1 million behind to my family, I could do that through life insurance. I pay for the life insurance during my lifetime, make sure it's funded, make sure it's appropriate. Now, my family gets to inherit $1 million. That's wealth that I've just passed them, With life insurance, I know there's usually like I would say two types. Term insurance, which is basically you're renting. So a 30-year, 1 million term, it covers me for 30 years. If I don't die in 30 years, great. I didn't die, but nobody gets the $1 million. At that time it expires. If I wanted insurance, I have to reapply. So it's usually cheapest to you. So I think like regardless, most people just should get at least term, just cover the basics. If you needed it during that life time period, at least you have it. Whole life or permanent life is like index universal life. This is a strategy I see a lot nowadays. I've always used it with clients, but I see it a lot on TikTok and Instagram. Okay, this is where you could build cash value inside. So it's permanent, meaning if I had $1 million index universal life, this now lasts until age 120. So at some point, I know someone's going to get the $1 million. So it costs more because I'm putting more into it every month. Because of that, right? I know eventually it's going to pay out. Also, you could build cash value that grows tax deferred and comes out tax free in the future. You could take it as a loan. Now, you really have to be clear because there's a lot of variables that are involved in that type of product. You have to be clear on what you're buying into. You have to make sure you can fund it properly. You're not leveraging cash value next year. It's not a bank account, which I actually see a lot of times advertised on social media, like put the money in and then use it as a bank and get the money out tax free. Honestly, I would never recommend that strategy to anyone, even if it is possible, it's very risky. I think you think of this like a long term. Long term, I need life insurance. Long term, I also would like to accumulate some cash value that could be tax free down the road when I'm 50, 60, when 20 years from now, I could take some of this money out, use it for retirement, whatever. it won't jeopardize the policy. My policy will still be alive. So whenever I pass, my beneficiaries will still get the death benefit. So there's a lot of good reasons to get that type of life insurance. Most of my clients, I would say we do a hybrid, some term, some permanent, make sure they're covered, make sure they get it, most of what they need, maybe in term, a sum of the cash value, just to build the cash value, have permanent insurance that lasts when the term expires. But again, this is the reason to work with a professional, because not everything you see online is true. If you don't know that by now.
I think that I am one of those people who the social media, I think, has many advantages. But one of the huge disadvantages, I think, is that anyone can speak on anything, whether they're qualified to or not. And like you said, there's a lot of information, like what you just said, put it in this year, take it out next year, use it as a bank, and all of those things. And so you tell someone who has no knowledge of insurance or no knowledge of wealth creation or even finances, you tell them something like this, and they want to go rush and buy a policy like that, thinking that they can do exactly that. And they may not meet someone like you when they go buy. They meet someone who is not honorable, who is not
Right.
someone who, like you are, right? And who will sell them a product that they do not need, who will sell them a product that they can't maintain and end up being on the short end of the stick. And that's one of the things that really bothers me. And it happens a lot in the financial world and so much in the tax world. I see so many crazy things about taxes. And so it is really great to have people like you in the industry who are honorable, who care about the people that they work with, and enough to be honest and tell them the truth, rather than make people
Absolutely.
believe that they can just go do this. It's like this get rich quick thing, and it never works out.
I know it never works out, those get rich quick schemes.
No, they
Unfortunately,
don't. If it sounds too good to be true, it usually is, right?
usually it is. Yep.
Okay, so challenges that you face, like right now, you went from being in corporate to having your own financial company, and now you're working mostly insurance. Along the way, what are some of the challenges that you face that kind of make you feel like they help to transform you into that person that you are now?
Absolutely. So many. Um, challenges with cash flow. I think anybody can relate to that, whether you have a business or you're employed. Managing cash flow, that is always a challenge. Look, it never goes away. You always have to manage cash flow. So this is budgeting. Especially when you're an entrepreneur. I think like over the years, I became more and more frugal, just because every dollar that I either put into the business or like took out of the business for my paycheck, it mattered, right? So I became more and more respectful, I would say, of my money. And now, even more so than ever before, I like really value my money. Like I always think I did, but I think it's different when you're an entrepreneur, because there are times where like I don't have any income coming in and I have bills, and this is scary. And so you just learn a different idea of money. Another challenge I would say I learned is to stand up for myself, negotiate. I really became a good negotiator over the years. One, because I was working with these corporate clients, as you said, in financial literacy campaigns, negotiating contracts of how much money they're going to pay me for videos or this project or hosting their show or speaking on stage. And I mean, just through practice, I got really good. Like, this is my value. This is my time. Take it or leave it. To now, I was even like really impressed recently with myself, because I negotiated a contract, it didn't work out. And then I had to say, look, this is the second time you guys have done this to me, where you've basically worked with me for months on a scope. We come up with a number. You say, great, we're just going to get final approval. And then you tell me you don't have it in your budget. It's like, come back to me when you have your budget. Then we could talk.
Yeah,
So
stop wasting my time.
it's learning though, like to be okay with that, to say that. And I've learned that maybe as a woman, in the beginning, I was like, I don't know, I want to keep this relationship. I want to work with them. But, I learned through the guys that I'm working with all the time. They're just like, matter of fact, hey, this is how much I cost. This is what you do. Great. Want it? Nope. Good. Don't come back unless you have the money. They're just like very straightforward.
Mhm.
So I think I learned a lot of good negotiation skills just through challenges over the years.
Wow, you just spoke like exactly what I had an interview. I did an interview with Antonia Boring this morning, and you just spoke to exactly what she was speaking about, the
Great.
ability to as women to have those critical conversations, difficult conversations because we tie emotions to them. But if you a guy, the guys don't tie any emotions to it, like you said. They're like, this is how much I cost, and this is the invoice, and you pay it. If you don't pay it, then that's it, end of conversation. And so it is really great to see that you are able to do that, right? To negotiate for yourself your value and your worth, and not bend because you're a woman doesn't mean that you have to.
Exactly. And I think that just comes with practice and trust. Like, trust that if this deal doesn't work out, something better is coming, and to be okay with that, to be okay without that deal, which
Mhm.
is not always easy. And I'm not, I have to say though, just to balance it, sometimes I took deals because I needed the cash flow. And then you learn, okay, good, I got that experience. That wasn't worth my time. But whatever, I had to learn through that. And now I can be a little bit more picky or choosy, but still, it's always the balance act.
Yeah, experience is always the best teacher.
Yeah.
So if you had to give a piece of advice to women in business about money, what would it be?
Ooh. Um, about money. Increase your fees every year. Like really. Either if you're working at a job, ask for more money every year. Don't settle for just the standard 4% raise that companies give you. Find value to bring to the company and bring it, and then get your money. If you're a business owner, increase your fees, maybe not every year, but every 2 years. Look at your fee structure. Inflation is 4% per year. So you have to at least be keeping up with inflation. And I know a lot of businesses just didn't do that. And I was always one to be like, oh, okay, I got to increase my fees. I got to increase my fees. I got to increase my fees. So I think that's the best practice. Like, always remember inflation's 4% per year on average. So you got to at least keep up with inflation, if not do better than inflation.
That's really great because like you said, most people don't. Some people, and especially in my industry, like accounting and tax, financial CFO services, most people it takes them years before they increase their fees. And then when they get to the point where they want to increase their fees, it's a problem now because the client is like, well, it's been that way for 5 years. Why are we changing? Why are we increasing fees now? But the response to that, and I tell my colleagues all the time, the response to that is, it should have been that way every year since the last 5 years.
You're smart.
Right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
it should
doing it
have
for
been. So right now, you should be telling me, thank you for not raising it the last 5 years. And if you're my client, and I mean my ideal client, and I've been providing value to you, you should be happy to be okay. Let the fees increase in this year, and that's it.
exactly. Yeah, you're solid. Great.
Mm.
Glad they have you.
Yeah, it is one of the things I struggled with in the beginning too. I won't pretend that I didn't. I struggled with asking for more money just like everyone else. But you have to get to a point where when you absolutely believe that this is my value and I can ask for my value, and if you don't want to pay that, then you're not my ideal client. It took me a while to get to the point of saying, well, you are not my client anyway, and just move on. It's something
Yeah,
that you have to learn. Like I said, experience is the best teacher.
I agree. 100%.
Okay, so future goals. What's next for you?
Ah, I mean, personal things like a family. I would love to have a kid.
Mm.
So yeah, I think a big part of getting a job too was like to give myself that kind of structure and support behind me so I could take, I don't want to say like take a little burden off because, you know, my job is also very important and I work for, you know, do good work. But yeah, I feel like I'm very happy with my career overall. So it's just more personal things.
Okay, that's awesome. And good luck in getting the kid
Thank
because
you.
I think kids are everything. I have
I love them. I
yeah, I
know.
have three daughters, three
Oh,
granddaughters, and they're everything.
wow.
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
like
they make
everything.
life family
Yeah,
time.
that's me. Okay, so tell our audience where can they find you?
BrittneyCastro.com. That's my website. Everything about me is there. And then I would just suggest to sign up for my free video about 3 things you need to know before you buy life insurance. So you can get on my once a month email and just get updates and hear from me. Also on my website, you can see all my social media handles if you would like to follow me. I have them all, but BrittneyCastro.com.
Okay, that's awesome. And folks, the link to her video will be on this video when it gets released. So you guys will be able to connect with her and listen. And I promise you guys, I know you won't regret it because as you can see, she has such an amazing fountain of information and knowledge that she can share with you guys. So Brittney, thank you so
Thank
much for
you.
being here.
Thanks for
I
having
appreciate
me.
you being here. And I look forward to maybe collaborating again and some other things in the future.
I would love it. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay. You have a great day.
Bye. Thank you.